So do you need something before we start?
We live with episode 37 right now?
Yeah,
if you ever say that again.
Okay, I'm literally going to say it every week
can
going
only say it
forward.
once.
So
That's not mathematical.
He's been saying it consistently
it
for
not?
30 episodes.
Do you know how math?
dude, that's like a year.
That might be true. So Jake's hanging off or out off camera.
We live?
Yeah,
No.
we're live
Yeah.
now.
Absolutely not.
Seats taken.
So how's it going, folks?
Not.
Thanks for joining us. Tonight's going to be a controversial episode.
Is
and
it? Is it going to be controversial?
Listen, I'm going to say some controversial things.
What if we all agree
Again.
on everything that we're saying?
That's what I was just thinking.
To be fair, the last thing that was quote unquote controversial, you guys cut me off.
Hey,
You
listen,
did
I was
allow
quiet
that.
that whole time because I wanted it was awkward, and I wanted you to say something.
If somebody makes a super cut-
we were just both like.
If somebody makes a supercut of that, I'll probably go to
Don't
jail.
ever run for office.
Listen, context is never important. Okay.
The internet's taught me one thing. I think that might be it.
Every article that is written, yeah, I believe that context doesn't
That's
matter
fair.
at all.
Pretty much, from what I've learned on the internet, is only the headline really matters.
Yeah.
Like just you put a
say the
salacious
internet,
headline.
but like that's not just the internet.
I love
Yeah, I
some
feel like
That's
Media
what magazines
also.
are, right?
maybe that's what
Yeah.
news is in general, like completely.
That's like newspapers. That's why they call it a headline.
Yeah.
I love some of these headlines that are like not headlines. Like they're like one. I can't remember what the last one I saw, but it's just so dumb.
Well, thanks for bringing it up, Ray.
Hey, yeah, good job, thanks, man. Can't remember what it was, but it was so dumb.
So,
So anyway,
I'll look at it.
Excellent.
That's hilarious.
at any rate, I think we should start off by talking a little bit about gaming, a little bit about tabletop stuff. So,
I love gaming.
It's
Do you?
overrated.
Okay.
Come buy comics.
Yeah,
all right, well, we
comics-
talked about
comics
that a
are
little
too.
bit.
Yeah. So moving on. No. So Space Marines are coming out.
Yes.
I was about 8 months overdue with when they were going to come out. I thought for sure we'd get them 8 months ago.
Well, 8 months ago, we didn't even have all the codexes done.
I didn't think that mattered a bit.
I disagree with you entirely.
Well, you turned out to be right.
Technically, we still
A-
don't have
as
all
per
the
usual.
codexes.
Right.
What are we missing?
Sisters.
Yeah,
Okay, but yeah, I think that's a little bit of a different situation. They're remodeling the entire army.
I'm so ready for the sisters to come out.
Our
That
spa-
way, I don't got to hear about them anymore.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's not even factual. People are going to talk about them so much more.
Well,
after
they'll
they're finally
complain
here.
for. Well, that's fair because
well, you
forever.
want to hear people complain about them not having a book, though.
That's fair.
Like that's
but they're still talking about. 'em.
but then after that comes out, Chaos players are going to complain because they're not getting more
God,
stuff.
for the
Hello.
longest time, I would get into a. You'd read an article, and the first comment, it could be an article about like why your dice aren't rolling actually random numbers, right?
Why are you reading this?
Just any hobby related article,
Oh,
and the
okay,
first comment was like, "Where's Plastic Sisters?" And I'm just like,
I'm convinced.
Followed by the second comment being
New
like,
Chaos
"When are
Codex."
Chaos
To be fair,
gonna do
I'm very
update?"
convinced that my dice roll 5
What's up,
ups on
Fish?
defense
This is what we're
consistently
focusing
and two down on attacks consistently. So
How long has it been since you've played a game, Jake?
it's been a while. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
no, so Marines are
keep
coming
singing,
out.
we'll get demonetized.
Marines are the new hotness.
How much? How much?
Yeah,
are we
they got a
making
lot
right
of
now?
Listen, this is your time to talk about Marines.
Yeah.
I
Are
want
they
you
gonna
to-
suck still?
I
Doesn't
really,
look like
I
it.
really
I don't know.
hope not.
I don't know. They've reworked a lot of the chapter tactics, which is really good. They are finally giving them to vehicles, which is good news for us. So that means my Dark Angels are going to get it, and our Chaos stuff is going to get chapter tactics for our vehicles.
Sooner or
and
later.
Wait, does that count for Hellbrutes?
They already got
Yeah,
them,
of
bro.
course. They already have them.
They already had them.
Oh
bro.
yeah, wait. I meant does my Hellbrutes get disgusting
You had 'em
resilient?
2 years
The
ago.
other-
I meant
bet
they
they
get
probably
disgusting
won't.
resilient.
They
The
should.
other thing they're doing to the chapter
No, they
tactics is they're adding
They should.
they're adding another
vehicles get
rule
it.
within their chapter tactic as well. So the old Salamander chapter tactic, for example, was
That is an assumption that you don't know.
That's what I'm worried about right there.
Oh, I gotcha.
that bit right
the old Salamander chapter tactic was you get to reroll a hit and a wound roll. Now it's you get to do that plus you ignore neg 1 AP. So they're adding more to their chapter tactics as well.
See what they're trying to do is they have their feet firmly planted in the ground
Sup.
that they do not want a Space Marine to go under 13 points. That's where
Censor
they think
that
people
man.
are.
Absolutely.
So even though 3 years ago they thought, yeah, Technical Marine is totally worth 13 points. Now they've given them an abundance more rules,
They're still
and
not
they're
worth
still not
13
worth 13 points.
Hang on, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Tactical Marines are going away, bro.
Dude, Brad and I had a discussion
gone.
at
Did you
length about
convince
this
him?
today. No,
No.
no.
Are any Marines
I
at
don't-
13 points
I don't.
worth boarding, putting on the table?
Intercessors are.
Yeah, but they're not 13 points.
They shouldn't be.
I'm not-
Probably
I
not.
asked any
Probably
Marines
not.
that are 13 points. I think Plague
Probably
Marines are
now.
down to like 14,
Jason said
15
Space Marines
points.
will be
They're
27
15.
points per arm.
I think Plague Marines are down to 15, and they're
That's,
barely.
that seems to be the direction.
They're almost good to be. They're almost good enough to be on the table. But
What's that?
Plague Marines, they're
That's-
really good.
That's what we should have
Plague
named
Marines-
this
Plague Marines
podcast
are
was
good.
points per model.
Points
That's
per model.
funny.
Yeah, that's really
That's funny.
That's all we complain about.
Yeah, but we don't talk enough about.
Oh, we're talking about
40K.
points per model. Hey, it's been a while since I brought this up, but do you
Put
know?
up the meme. Do it.
I'm pretty sure Poxwalkers.
Flag the meme.
Pretty sure Poxwalkers are well overdue for a point reduction.
Okay, so here's the main crux of what's going on. So a couple weeks ago at Warhammer Open Day, they announced
awkward.
they were going to put a full. They're going to put all the forgotten stuff in Age of Sigmar into one book, and they're going to say, hey, now you can bring Stormcast in your main army. That's what they did to my High Elf army that you hated, Tony, is gone.
Thank God.
They killed it. It's
Good.
dead. They killed it with a mallet. It's gone.
It deserved to be gone.
Well, it is.
Good. They're doing the right thing.
Why
Oh
did
my
you hate
God.
Jason said Poxwalkers is going to
I'm
go
indifferent.
going
I
up
don't
12
care.
points
So
in
he
the
had this unit.
chapter price.
That's
so I
just to
played
solidify it.
Nurgle.
They'll never be on the
Like,
table.
Super slow, right?
Yeah.
Just
And
in
he had
case
this
any of you
one
were thinking
unit
about it.
of horse archers that could be like, run up, take a shot, then run away.
And you can never catch him.
That's all they did.
But they didn't do anything. They would lob some shots and then like run away laughing.
Like they'd be running at them.
You know they didn't do anything, Joel.
No, they didn't do much of anything, but.
But you were so mad at him the whole
I'd be
time.
running around with arrows sticking out of every orifice, trying to kill him.
You play Nurgle, not Slanesh, bro.
You're the one. Anyway,
Shoving them in the orifice. So at any rate, the High Elves are gone.
good.
And this was a month ago now, just about that they announced this. And then they announced Space Marines on Saturday, and then Sunday they're like, Space Marines 2 weeks out. Still don't have that book of nothingness that they promised us a month ago. So GW's got this way of like just making sure that Space Marine players they're taken care of.
Well, it's kind of their
Do you-
flagship thing, right?
Yeah.
I
At
mean,
least
yeah,
for
but
40K.
like it's like the chicken
Yeah.
and the egg, right? Like, are they their flagship thing because they constantly support them, or do they constantly support them because people love them?
Trust me, it's not. It has not been constant support for Space Marines in 8th edition.
Do you
They've got a
think?
lot of
Do you
model
think?
releases, but
you
not.
guys-
but other than that,
Space
no.
Marine players had to play has played 8th edition so far. Like every other army has played every other edition. You get your stuff and then they leave you alone. It's amazing. You don't
Till
get, like-
now?
what's that? Well,
Till-
I mean, now they're getting a new codex, but we'll see. Now, if they wait 6 months and give them a new supplement, like then we're back on the Space Marine
Well,
train.
my
Well,
hopes-
those
I think it's
those,
really
codex
weird that
supplements.
you're getting a second codex within the edition.
Well,
That's
it's,
very.
it's because they
very
know
standard.
the first one is bad, and it's standard for
Well,
Space Marines.
I don't think it's
Yeah,
as
Space
much
Marines.
as that because I think they could have errated that stuff without doing another codex. But what it is because of the giant amount of model stock that's been added to the Space Marines without
They're
like,
dropping
after
stuff,
the
though.
codex.
Did you see
So,
that?
like,
Like the number of unit entries is much lower in this one.
What?
There's like 20 units missing.
Hello, Michael.
The
I hadn't heard that.
the Intrepid reporting service that I
Oh, okay.
frequent.
Yes.
They had an article where they did some clever mathematics, and they figured out that there was 20 missing somewhere. They don't know because
That's weird.
GW announced there's like 36. You leaving? Yeah. All right, man. Thanks for stopping in, being off-camera creep.
But he
Off camera.
that way. I thought they said there'd be like 70 something or
it's like
look
76
who it
or
is.
something.
So,
so they basically added up everything and they found that there are missing data slates.
that's what they said. Yeah.
So what?
I'm curious to think that if
I wanna-
if there was just some sort of like mismath done wrong with
Is Space Marines
with
the like
community,
number
'cause-
one like like army out there.
To be
Like
It, it-
owned,
it is the number one.
Stormcast
Yeah,
Eternals.
absolutely.
Had,
number
did
one
a,
owned 40K
yeah.
army.
They
Yeah.
did a.
So do you think a second
they did
codex
research at one point
could,
in time?
I don't want to say. Is it just a money thing? Like they.
No, it's absolutely.
I mean, obviously they're adding
it's
a lot,
absolutely
and it's going
needed.
to change the game. But like you said,
Well,
they could have
it-
just errated a lot
it's
of
a lot
stuff,
of
right?
both.
Well, for rules,
Because
not
they
for
did
the
a
model
thing-
stock. So the problem is there's a bunch of models you can take if you're a Space Marine player that's not even in your codex.
okay, I want to put
Okay.
this. I just want to
That's
put this
why.
in
I would say
business
that's
terms.
probably the biggest thing.
Yes. Okay. So they're coming out. The new codex is going to have an edition called the Indomitus.
Yeah.
Rex?
No.
No, we're not going there.
No, it's
Seems
not
like
going to be total trash. So at any rate,
I don't know.
It's a special edition. It's $250, right? They're limiting that to 800.
How many pages is this book?
It's. I mean, there's like you get some markers and a map and stuff. It's not worth $250. I'm gonna
I'll take two.
assume. Okay. At any rate, they're limiting. They're only printing 800 of them, right? So just do a quick little arithmetic there. That's 200 grand just on those books, right? And they will sell every one of those books.
Oh, they will sell every one
Without
of
a
those
doubt.
books.
They're pretty cool.
So
They're
they're
are
very cool. They're very cool.
Yeah.
To be fair, as long as the new codex adds enough to sell
It will.
second
It will.
codex.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
it'll,
absolutely.
it'll add a
So
lot.
I don't mind it too much. Business moves to make money, and
I-
they got to
I-
make
I'm
money
the-
as a business.
I'm the type of person that like I
It's
wish
not
my
like it's
I
unnecessary.
wish my armies would get a new book every year. Like I have no problem buying a new codex or
Every
battle
year?
tome. I would love that because that means you're not just being forgotten somewhere. Like
That
to
would
play
be- yeah.
to play Stormcast, like like oh man, it's been a down year, and you're like, just wait.
Don't they
'cause
do new?
something's coming.
They do new things every year for
Yeah,
for
like-
Sigmar, right?
For Stormcast.
For
yeah.
Stormcast
But
and
no,
Space
they
Marines.
haven't done any. They
I
haven't
thought
done
with
much of
the
anything
new
for
General's
us.
Handbook,
No,
like just
for-
things change for every army.
They do.
adjust points and stuff, but like they don't come out with new rules.
Okay.
I got a video I can show you about that concept actually.
Is it a pitch meeting? Because God knows it's all we heard about.
Those pitch meetings are. They need to do a general's
There.
handbook pitch
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
meeting,
That would be funny.
just as deadly as they always were.
Yeah. Wow.
No, at any rate,
This was so dumb.
you could
Yeah.
go a long time without getting any kind of update. So I would gladly buy the codex every year. I know some people are like, oh, a new book,
dude.
like-
I have absolutely zero problem
Yeah, me too.
paying for a codex.
but I also bought Madden every year for 10 years. You know what I mean? Not
seems
anymore.
like an error.
I don't buy that crap anymore. That game
I
is
did.
trash. Do you buy it this year?
No.
Are you
No,
going to?
I, no.
So much for talking about
Is it
video
No,
games.
only-
Fortnite?
Don't-
Jake's not playing.
Fortnite's free, bro.
Hold on.
I said, is it
He plays
Fortnite?
Minecraft too.
yeah, I'm on a big Minecraft kick at the moment.
Isn't that free as well?
No, it's $20.
It's what?
It costs $20
To play or like
to buy
to
the
buy
own the
it.
game.
Okay.
Game costs $20.
So anyway, what was I gonna say? Wait, what were we just talking about right
I'm
before?
talking about codexes.
No, right
Madden,
like, in between Madden. Oh, the only reason the last like 7 years that I bought it, I only bought it because I was in a league. And then
Oh,
once
yeah.
I dropped out of that league, I was like, oh, there's no reason. I
Dude,
never did
Couldn't you
any.
just update the roster? Like,
Madden could do
That's
that.
basically
Yeah.
what EA did. So
they
EA
sell it
used
to
to be
you. They sell
better.
you an updated roster for $60 every year.
That's literally what it became.
I know.
Like they wouldn't even put out new features.
The
I guess
last
this year's
few-
supposed to be really good.
like there was like a string. They tried to like put new features, but like there was a string of 3 years where it was just the exact same game.
Yeah. They just had different soundtracks on the home screen.
Yeah, different.
I haven't bought it since before Calvin was on the cover. I don't even know what year that was.
I don't
That's
even know
all-
who Calvin is.
that was a while.
Calvin Klein, the guy who makes underwear.
That's definitely.
Oh, okay.
Old dude.
All right, so yeah, I mean that's the big news in.
Oh, yeah, I got one thing
40K.
about 40K. I
Let's
just
hear
saw a box that says Forge Bane.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yep.
are they the Bane of?
The Forge, bro. Like, do you even
Yeah.
read?
I don't understand how you can be the Bane of a Forge.
You could.
You're a
ruin
bane
it.
of the people at the Forge.
Do you understand how to be a Necron?
Yeah.
Do you understand marketing? More importantly,
Is it a cool name?
To
Does
be
it
honest,
have
they
an
did not
X in
market
it?
it toward Forges very well. But aside from that, yeah, it's a good.
all
box.
right. So obviously, like that was the big news in the gaming world over the weekend. There was also some real news over the weekend.
Because gaming news isn't real news.
Well, actually,
Is it new?
Yeah, pretty much.
And is it new when people talk about it?
No.
I think that makes it news, like by default.
There's no sports though, so it's not
it,
news.
doesn't make. Oh, okay, so it's,
The S in news is sports.
oh, okay. What's the N?
Is it really?
I think so.
I think you're.
What? You know, what's
pretty
the
sure.
I think you're reaching.
Oh,
I think we
man,
should. I think we
W's
should
gonna
move
be weather.
on
What's
past
the
this
E?
conversation.
For what? What are we talking about?
apparently the S in news stands for
Letters.
sports. W is going to be weather.
The letters
What's
stand
NNE?
for letters.
Entertainment.
I can't believe I'm
Okay,
about to
what's
Google
the N?
what does news mean.
There we go.
News.
So at any rate,
It means news.
you got this is incredible.
Within its own. No, I'm just picturing like a swirl.
I
'Cause,
can't
like, you have
believe
to
people
zoom
are
into that.
watching this. People are watching the show right now.
They're not.
Hey, Eli and Jason are very loyal, dedicated
So here we go.
viewers.
We're going to get controversial here. So obviously we had the shootings over the
that,
weekend, right?
that wasn't the
Yeah.
controversial thing? The Warhammer stuff?
no,
Would
not
you
really.
shut up?
That was like we knew that was coming.
That was harsh. Well, you should.
Hey, it
shut
was to
up.
the point though. I can appreciate that. You shouldn't shut up.
Jesus.
So apparently video games are the
The catalyst.
as
It's the
as-
catalyst to.
Now was that today or
Evil.
when was that said? Because I know that's been said a lot
It was,
in the past.
the,
2
I
days
think
ago?
The press conferences was either yesterday or Sunday.
I just confirmed it on Google. News means news.
Thank you.
Also,
And yes, does not mean sports.
No, not news
when
itself.
you started this, you said obviously we've had the shootings over the weekend. This is the first I'm hearing about it.
Really?
There was
Yep.
a shooting in
I don't know.
Dayton.
There
was
was
two
a
big
shooting
shootings.
in
That's good. I mean, I'm glad you're unplugged
San
from
Antonio?
the
El
news
Paso.
cycle.
El
that's-
Paso.
It was
Oh,
El
Texas.
Paso. Hey, if you say the city, you are a white nationalist.
That's right.
I am loyal
Where
and
did this
dedicated.
come from?
The media.
That's what you like to hear.
Did
You're
you
like,
say El
said,
Paso?
Trump said
Well,
Toledo
no,
instead of
no.
Dayton.
Yeah, he said Toledo instead of Dayton. So
Wait, now that what's that have to do? Okay, hang on.
They said he didn't care.
he said that he was very inconsiderate and didn't care about it. So therefore, like he's
So he said-
unempathetic to the victims because he said Toledo instead of Dayton.
mistakenly. Yeah.
Whoa.
Even when he
I
said,
mean, that's a stretch too. How can you say somebody doesn't care if they get a word? They get the
Jake,
name.
we
of
well,
the
get
city?
that's the point, right?
Yeah.
That's
You
the
get that
point.
guy?
They were also
Evan?
saying.
Oh,
They were also saying he didn't care because he was reading from a teleprompter as well.
I think him throwing out like football-sized paper towels was more of an indicator of not caring about the crisis than
No.
Football says
Those are
paper towels.
underappreciated memes, by the way. Like, what was it?
the hurricane. He was like, "You
That
get
was
a
a
paper
while ago.
towel."
That was like when he first took office.
I don't. Okay, yeah, that
Yeah.
was a while ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't.
like shooting, yeah.
I legitimately don't remember
Dude,
that.
there was
That's
somebody.
funny.
Somebody was like, "A boat flew into my house." And he's like, "Well, you got a boat."
Did he really say that? That's so funny. Oh,
That's
no.
insensitive.
No, that's
Forgetting-
that's
It's
bad.
also thievery
That's so
because like,
bad.
that's not how you acquire new items. Storms depositing items in your house does not mean you
I
own
mean,
them.
possession is 9/10 of the law. So
I guess that's fair.
But I'm
unless they
just
got a
saying,
deed
like,
to the boat.
That's insensitive. Saying,
you're right.
Saying
You're
Dayton instead or Toledo instead of Dayton.
That's a
Not really
that's a
insensitive.
mistake.
Listen, I think you
Yeah.
can say a lot of
That's not.
you can call Trump a lot of things. I don't think you could necessarily call him compassionate.
or yeah.
I think it depends on what.
Well, I
I
mean,
think you call him compassionate about a couple things, but
I don't know. He just
definitely
seems,
likes
he seems like a pretty
porn
aloof
stalkers.
guy, right? Like he just
Yeah.
you know.
Call that compassion.
Okay, hang on. We're getting some comments over here. I'm
Man, that look at Trump's history though. He's had
Is
a
that
hard
Eli?
time of. Yeah.
Eli, you need to change the color of that
had a
name
hard
because
time
I can't
saying
read
what
it.
for a long time. You don't need to. You don't need to read his name, man. You know who it is.
No, I can't.
It's the
Cut
it's
the Cheeto break.
it's the cut the Cheeto. Oh man, this Oompa Loompa.
he's not short.
Is he really that orange?
green
I've
hair.
always like.
No, he's not that
He's
orange.
exceedingly
He's
orange.
definitely that. Orange.
I would say he's more orange.
I
than
looked
He
at
is
him.
definitely the orangest president we've ever.
That's
That
fair.
might be true.
You know what?
but-
That's I can't even.
Now,
argue
but
it.
hey, if you said Obama was the blackest, would that be racist? Well, you can call this guy as
But
being
also,
the
it'd
orangest?
also be
I
true
don't think that
though.
would be. Why would that be racist?
I'm just
mean,
saying.
Well, I mean, I guess I was about to say, well, I guess it would be factual, but I mean, all sorts of factual things that could be considered racist.
Yeah, we were
so
talking about this earlier. Just because it's a fact doesn't make it not racist.
yeah,
recap. What happened?
Doesn't make it.
Because
it wasn't
racism
that,
is
it
a
was-
different.
they were basically
Just because
saying,
it's a
well,
fact
if-
doesn't mean it's not
is Trump
sensitive.
the orangest president we've ever had?
I think
that would
was
be
the
yes.
topic.
So then he
Unless
was
you
like,
had a
well,
conversation I wasn't a part
No,
of.
Side
we were sitting
conversations,
right there, and I was
trademark.
like, "That's racist." You're like, "It's fact. It's a fact." Like, don't make it not racist.
I don't remember that part.
I mean,
Never
I
mind.
could give examples, but like, if I do, I will be racist. So
Cut
I'm
the
gonna refrain.
Cheeto a break.
That's so funny.
All right, so at any rate,
Anyway, yeah.
video games were cited as one of the culprits. Like, I feel like when these things happen, so much is made about like placing the blame, right? So like somebody committed a crime, they are the ones that committed the crime. Nope, nothing else made them do it, right?
The-
So like if you speed, are you gonna be like, I was playing GTA this weekend, man? Like, cut me a break, cop. He'd be like,
And the cop
you know
will
what,
be
you're-
like, I play GTA, absolutely.
he's like, get in the
why I
back.
became a cop.
You're going to prison.
No, he'd be like, I play GTA, but I play as the good guy. You gunned me down all. Anyway,
You know what I'm saying though? Like it's you can't use that as a defense. Like,
agree.
well, I was
One
speeding
of the-
because
one
I
of the
played
guys
Grand
had a
Theft Auto.
manifesto.
I do want to point out that video. I think the video game thing got a little. I don't think it got as much press as we're kind of making it out to be. I don't think it was.
No, that's
I've
fair, but
seen-
video
was the
games.
main
All I've
reason.
ever seen is memes on it.
I've
never
seen-
Video
actually
games
seen-
have been cited
I've
for
seen a
years
lot of memes, and I've
as-
seen a lot
did
of
it for
notable
Columbine.
commentary people address it. So
No, I've seen
Yeah.
a couple people. I think even Donald Trump mentioned
For a
it
long
in his
time they
speech,
cited
but I
that-
don't think it was the main focal point of it.
Well,
I
sure.
do,
It
I do
probably-
want to just point that
It
out.
probably wasn't, but I mean, at any rate, it being cited.
Yeah, sure.
For a while,
Oh
it
my
was
God,
what
Eli.
was that? What's that game? Counter Strike.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
like they was that out at the time of Columbine?
It probably.
I would think
Counter-Strike's
so.
an old
Counter Strike's
game.
old.
Yeah, I mean they were like they blamed Columbine on Counter
Honestly,
Strike.
I don't know how
think-
Counter Strike
yeah.
is still
well, they
played.
blame more than just Counter Strike.
I don't know how Counter Strike
and it-
still gets played.
It's a good game.
it's a
apparently.
really good competitive game.
I've never seen it.
I played it.
Esports.
Have you
it
ever
was fun.
seen Minecraft? I think a little bit better than that.
Fair enough.
Esports is very like once they get a game, it kind of just sticks around. So like League of Legends, Counter
It keeps it
Strike.
alive,
Yeah, but
right?
thing-
And-
League of Legends is a garbage game,
Things
and
like
it's
League
still
of
around.
Legends, though, it's updated
It's
like
awful.
every couple
That's
weeks.
true, Joel.
Counter
I'm
Strike
laughing.
has a lot of sports still, I
It's
believe.
not a fun
Not
game.
good.
At any rate, okay, so obviously, okay, so you said the guy had a manifesto. So did the guy that did the New Zealand shootings, right? But we always rush, well, not we, obviously, but like the media is always like, oh, well, it's this or it's this.
Right.
It's like these people clearly have some type of issue. If you're willing to kill somebody, and I know Luke, he would disagree that like maybe he had a bad day and you started popping off. Like people aren't like that. I think you have to have something really deeply wrong with you
Yeah.
to just go out and kill innocent people.
Yeah.
Like you do. And I don't think if they sat in a room, obviously if you put somebody in a room and don't let them do anything, they're gonna have some problems.
Jason said
remember-
that they tried to
I-
blame Columbine and Marilyn Manson.
I remember that a little
Yeah.
bit.
Wow,
Marilyn
that's a
Manson.
stretch.
Have you seen like
Oh, they
interviews?
were on Columbine. It was such a natural tragedy.
Well, you wanna
Oh,
blame
yeah,
they were
everything,
trying
right?
to blame everything.
That's yeah.
Do you know
Yeah, I
how
can
you
see that.
always see the like Ben Shapiro destroys YouTube things?
I've never seen those.
Oh, okay. Well, there's
I haven't seen one yet, actually.
Trolls. Trolls
there's
everywhere, as far as I can
there's
see.
also like kind of like on a very lesser scale, Marilyn Manson like destroys interviewer kind of thing.
Oh, really?
Because for a long time, interviewers and talk show hosts would always try to come at him about his art, his style, and then he's like a very eloquent spoken person, and so he'll come back with like really good rebuttals, and then they'll just be stumped.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think I've seen one or two of those. I think I know what you're talking about. I mean, the point is like the criminal committed the crime, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
you
of
know what I'm
course.
saying? Like,
Well, there are. I mean,
So
the thing is too to play on that. There are people out there who are just genuinely evil, like who want to do
I
not
agree. I mean, I
necessarily
think-
that they're mentally ill, but they believe in something evil and they want to.
no, I totally
Act
agree.
on that
I mean,
and do something
history is
terrible.
rife with
Don't
those.
you think that would kind of go hand in hand with some kind of mental?
Not necessarily. So
I would say-
to back it up. real
It's
quick,
hard
Do you
for me-
think? Do you think people who are genuinely racist are mentally ill?
It's hard
But
for me to
evil
think.
and evil and
No.
racism are two different things.
Yeah, I was
Go
about to
ahead.
say the same
I'll
thing.
wait. No, I could be
Howard.
polite. It's hard for me to agree with that, Brad. I don't think that's true. I don't think
Wow.
anybody is just inherently evil.
Well, I don't think.
I
I don't think.
disagree with that.
I don't think that people that individuals make decisions thinking they're bad decisions.
I would agree.
So I don't think somebody's
that
going to
they
go
think
in and
they're
say,
the right decision.
I want to make this as bad as possible for everybody because I love chaos. That's very, very rare.
No, I would agree with
So-
you. I don't think they think of themselves as evil either. But,
So, like,
but they
one-
are. That's
but
that's the thing.
One guy had a manifesto, right?
Yeah.
So obviously he felt the need to justify his actions.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Because
so
he inherently knew they were wrong.
and
He- at a
but
subconscious level,
he had a
even,
means to an end, right? I'm not saying it's right or not evil. I'm just saying like I don't agree that people are just inherently
I don't
evil.
think they're born
Yeah.
evil. In other words, I get genuinely
I
made
would
have
say
been the
I would
wrong
say
word.
some people probably are.
Well, it's,
I think I'm going to agree with Dakota that I think it has more to do with mental illness.
Well, I think it's got to
you
do a
know,
lot with your upbringing. I don't think
I
necessarily.
think there are people like that.
I don't think that.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
think that
Yeah, I
they're
think they exist.
necessarily.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I agree. I would
But-
say that those people exist.
Okay,
Go
now,
ahead.
now,
So
I want to touch on
being-
something else
being- well.
that you said. Like, you said that you pretty much correlated racism with evil,
yeah,
and I don't think that I necessarily agree with that. Now hear me out here.
racist bigot.
Exactly.
unfinished,
No,
please.
well, yes, please, because like I guess maybe I'm just putting a lot of weight on the word evil.
Well, sure, but
I think to
you're
be
looking-
fair, I think racism is more born of ignorance
I-
than evil.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's very, very wrong.
Yeah.
it is.
But I think it's
exceedingly
more
wrong.
out of ignorance.
Yeah, but
That-
I
that's-
don't think the term evil is
maybe
necessarily-
I think
thinking
evil is
racist
more
thoughts
derived
isn't
in
necessarily
actions
evil,
also.
but,
I think there are
partaking
evil-
in racist actions, for instance, especially violent ones, are definitely an act of evil.
Okay, yeah, I'll say that. I'll say like it
This
bears
is getting
actions
really
that can
philosophical.
be evil.
Like
Yeah.
I love this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's pretty dope.
yeah,
What does
I agree.
morality mean? Who decides what's right and wrong?
Well, I think that your gut tells you what's right or wrong.
Well,
right?
I,
Like,
I,
think- I think
actually
there's a
think
lot
there's a
of-
logical conclusion we could draw to some sort of objective morality that we can actually decide.
Oh, there's been plenty
And we've had this conversation
Yeah.
before. I don't agree with that. I think it's purely a societal construct.
I'm right in the middle, man, because I can see I'm gonna pull a Jake here because I can totally see both sides, man. Because like,
But you said that what is?
It's
What-
a societal
construct of
So
morality.
it's where
Morality
you're
is-
born and who you're around and
Yep.
what.
but I think
environment
now,
you're
now,
on
now, now, I
dictates
agree.
what's right
I
and
agree
wrong.
with you to a certain extent that your society might determine something right and wrong, but there is still an objective sense to where that what they've determined could still be wrong
but
if
who
they've
decides
determined it
that?
right.
I think
And
well, like I
that's-
said,
and
that's
that's
the
entirely
hard
the point.
part.
I
is
think
who
we can
decides.
I think we can come to a logical conclusion based on some facts.
But I
So,
don't agree with
to
that.
be
I don't
fair-
think
I-
because
I
it's
don't-
based off of societal bias.
There's been a
But
lot
that
of
doesn't just because there's a societal bias doesn't mean you can't come to an objective truth.
But who comes to that
Bias
objective
means
truth?
unobjective, so absolutely it does mean that, Brad.
What do you mean?
You can't come to an objective
a truth
truth
about a subject because
with
there's bias?
Bias. No,
Well,
you can't.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's-
there-
So because
I
people
agree
are
with
biased,
Tony on that.
so just because people are biased, they can't come to an objective truth. Because everyone has
if it's
bias.
influenced by their bias, absolutely not.
You're right.
That's
If it's
the point.
influenced,
Okay, let's- can
can
we
bias,
unpack
but
this
can
with a-
biased
with an
individuals
example?
come to an objective truth?
What about women being allowed to show their faces, or I forget the
hijab.
name of it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's cultures that say that's morally wrong. That
Absolutely.
they should not be
They're-
allowed to
they're-
do it.
They're
not
wrong.
be allowed to show their face.
Yeah,
They're
they're
wrong.
saying that showing
but
it is
you're
wrong.
you saying they're wrong is based off of your culture.
I would agree that that's wrong, but I don't know if we can.
Not
we can-
necessarily. I can come to a logical conclusion despite to what my culture has to say.
so there
I don't know if you can.
Okay,
Why
so
not? I mean,
there's been
okay,
a
there's
lot
diff-
of philosophical studies and a lot of much smarter people than us go through this.
Bullshit.
And one of the
no,
I
because I
one
completely
of
disagree
the,
with that.
To be fair, one of the biggest one of the biggest things looked at when you're looking at morality is logic. Like that's one of the biggest things.
Morality and logic do not go hand in hand, my friend. They are not even they're not at
Why not?
all related. Because something can be immoral and purely logical.
Okay, so
What
so,
about
so
the
you're running-
Superman
well,
argument?
yeah,
It
okay,
depends.
how about
So-
you're running away from a predator, and it's illogical to bring your grandmother with you, right? Because she's slowing you down. But it's immoral to just knock her legs out and let the
Well,
predator
it's
get
the,
her,
the
right?
Superman argument,
That's
right?
good. Well,
so
that's
good.
you have a man on the train tracks, right? And you can save his life by switching the tracks to kill 3 other people.
Sure.
So logically, you would kill the one person versus the 3.
Sure.
But now, what if that one person would have saved hundreds of thousands of people because he's a doctor?
Well, yeah,
So-
exactly. You
so
make
what-
you make the most logical decision to determine the moral.
Morally,
I don't
it's still
think you
not
can.
right.
Yeah, I don't.
Logic and morality do not go hand in hand.
I could see the whole in some places, but I feel like in a lot of cases logic does help
You can-
find some morality, some
No,
I think you
point
need
of
to
morality.
you apply logic to make the best decision.
it's simply
And
just a-
that, but that doesn't
But that
mean
doesn't
that
mean
it's
the most
objectively
moral decision.
That doesn't mean that it's objectively the
But,
most
but logic is
moral
simply just
truth.
a tool. It's not necessarily. It's you could logically determine something depending based on the evidence you have.
Absolutely, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not saying logic is bad.
Based on philosophical evidence we have from thousands of years of existence, we can determine objective truths about
So
something.
slavery is just now recently immoral, in the grand
in the grand scheme of things,
Yeah.
no,
for-
it's always been immoral.
But see, that's your cultural bias.
Then why
No.
was
And
it
that's-
so common?
Why was it? Because
Yeah.
people didn't know that.
They didn't know that it was immoral.
No.
So you're saying that there's
I
universal
would think they
morality.
knew it was
Some-
immoral and they didn't care. Like that.
Well,
But-
there's an aspect of that too, maybe. But my
we're saying
point
there's
is, it's
a
all
uni-
based on logic, and it's all based on knowledge.
Well,
It's
it's
not
not
based on logic,
It's, all,
because
it's,
you
communi-
can't-
it's
No.
community and society. Like their society said that slavery of this type of person is okay.
But that doesn't make it okay.
well, that's not what slavery traditionally was.
Okay,
you're
so
thinking
maybe
the very American
let's
standard
not
of
focus on
slavery.
just,
okay,
just the one, right?
Just
So-
because society
it's-
deems something okay, that doesn't make that act
Right,
okay.
but it sounds like what you're saying is the more knowledge you gain, like that enlightens you to the objective truth.
yeah, exactly.
Right, but the objective truth doesn't change.
Yeah, exactly.
So, are
Exactly.
you doing things now that are immoral?
That could be, yeah. Yeah, you very
I
well.
mean, just to be
maybe
totally-
we determine later on that it's actually immoral to slaughter animals in the way we do.
But my point. We were talking about the victors go to the spoils, or the spoils go to the victors.
Yeah,
right?
that's got
So-
nothing. That's got nothing to do with morality.
Yes,
though.
it does. Absolutely.
Real
it
quick
does.
on your
Do you
train
not
track thing,
think-
Tony.
Yeah.
Jason said, "Just grab a beer and don't save either."
I would say that's morally wrong.
Well,
Right?
the train's going to go one of the two ways.
I think if you're in that
Yeah,
situation, you got to
right,
say
so-
one of the two.
Yeah. So we were talking about this earlier with Tony, right?
Move
What
the
if,
one over
what
to
if
the
Hitler
three.
won, right?
Yeah.
Do you think we would have a different moral stance on racism even today?
Well,
If
yeah,
what?
If Hitler won?
it depends. It depends, but that doesn't make racism okay.
But what I'm saying is that you're stuck behind it's wrong now, but 500 years ago it wasn't wrong, and maybe 1,000 years from
I'm
now.
not saying 500 years ago it wasn't wrong. 500 years ago it was wrong.
So what happens if
But you might
1,000
not have
years from
believed
now
that then.
we
So what?
decide that
But-
it is right again?
But
you
what
might
I'm
not
saying is
believe
that
that
doesn't
the
mean
Earth was round 2,000 years ago, but it's round.
That's different. That's factual. This is.
I'm talking about objective truth, Dakota.
But there is no such thing. You cannot
that's
conflate
different.
logic with morality.
You can't.
just
You can't equate emotion to like.
just
what's
can't.
the co-
Why not?
I would
I've already
say
explained it, but you're not.
I
like-
would say that there is
but I think I've refuted
there
every
is
single
objective
I don't think
morality.
you
I
have a
would
single
say
time.
that.
Well, then give me.
So
give me
I've
an
given you
example then.
specific examples about how, and Tim did also. So if I'm running away from a bear and I trip my grandma so that I get away,
That right there, you're behaving in an immoral way. That is
Right,
an
but
immoral
it's a
act.
it's a
logical thing to
logical
do.
way.
It's
It's
a
a
log-
logical
it-
thing to do to
As
survive.
far as survivability, that's a
To
logical.
survive, but it's still immoral.
Exactly.
I can come
Exactly.
to that conclusion using logic.
So, no.
Just because
no,
something's-
morality told me
But
no.
just because something's
No,
logically-
it's illogical to if your main objective is to stay alive. It's illogical to let your grandmother slow you down in
But-
that scenario. It's
Exactly.
illogical because you will die.
It's a logic.
But it is immoral
You're-
But that,
to
but
trip
that,
her.
but no,
water
that's,
is wet.
But it does-
hold
it
on a second. That,
depends-
that's
it
two
depends.
different.
Water is wet.
That's not what you're looking at two different things here. You're
Thank you.
looking at logically what is the most moral thing to do, and logically what is the best thing to do to
Thank
survive.
you.
Those are two different things. Those are two different things
okay.
completely.
Yeah,
Say that again. Say that
You're
again.
Absolutely.
you just made two different arguments. Like you're looking at the example of logically what's the best way to survive. When me and Brad are talking about logically what's the most moral thing to do.
There's
Exactly.
No, you
there's
guys were
no
saying
such
that logic
thing as
equals
logically
morality.
the most logically moral thing to do.
Why not?
Because it's called the most moral thing to do. It's
So,
not
so I think the
logical.
biggest.
I think
the
sometimes
bo-
I
morality
think
and
sometimes
logic.
morality
But you
is
can use-
illogical.
I think
is what I'm saying.
I think like
sometimes
what.
like in this case,
morality
you don't trip,
it
can be
incredibly
illogical.
illogical.
So logical
it depends on what you're
logical
trying to
actions
do.
could be logical actions. I suppose could be immoral, but it does not mean that you can't logically find the most moral answer.
conflating
that's
two
fair.
different
No, no,
things.
that's-
So
that's
if, what
another
you're,
argument.
if you're,
And
like
that's what
Jake
I'm
said, it all
saying.
depends on what your goal is. So if your goal is to be a moral person, logically, it is wrong to feed your grandma to bears.
Right, no, but nobody disagrees with that. Nobody disagrees
I
with
like
that.
how
part of it.
like
But-
it went from.
It's from
I shortened it up. I know. I'm not going to restate the whole thing
I
where the bear
get it,
shakes
but
his
I don't think
I think the
I
big-
don't
Go ahead.
I don't accept that as a reasonable argument.
Why not?
because logic and morality do not intertwine.
Yes,
But
I do.
I
I
just
think the
explained to
biggest.
you a
I think.
situation
where-
hold
I think
on a
you
second.
can use rhetoric.
I think the.
that's
I think
not
the.
true.
I think
Hold
the.
on, Jake. So you're using rhetoric that isn't true.
What do you
right?
mean?
So just because you say logically it's immoral doesn't mean that they actually make sense together. I would say being a moral person, morally, I wouldn't feed my grandma to bears. Logic isn't introduced into it. Logic doesn't have a place in morality. They're two different concepts.
Okay, so
I
let me
don't
say something now.
necessarily
So
think
I
so.
think one of the
Play
biggest.
on each other.
I think
Yeah,
one of the
I think-
biggest
yeah,
logical.
You can have logic without morality.
What
You
I'm
can
saying,
have
one of the biggest,
morality without
one of the
logic.
biggest moral
I
and
agree.
logical consistencies is the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated. That is both a morality statement and a logical statement, and it's been used as a logical statement for a very long time.
And that is illogical.
Why?
What about nice guys finish last? So I'm going to treat everybody exactly how I want to be treated and get walked on because of it.
Well, that's because other people are being immoral. Other people
exactly.
are acting
It's not
immorally.
about logic.
Yes, it is. What you? If everyone treated others the way they wanted to be treated, then you wouldn't be walked over or disrespected or.
That is a logical argument, but that's not reality. So, like, that's
That
the
does
third
not.
component.
That does
but that
not
doesn't matter.
change.
Morality,
I understand.
That
I'm
does
not
not
saying it
change
does.
that
because
that
morality
the golden rule.
and logic don't go together.
I think they can, but they're. I don't think that
They're not.
I don't
you don't
realistically
need one
think
to
they
get
will,
the other.
though.
What's that?
I don't realistically think that they will, though.
Go
Like,
together?
Yeah,
Why not?
Well, no, because he pretty much like
The
I mean,
problem is
Everybody
I
shut
got-
up for Dakota, and he didn't even have anything to
Yeah,
say.
the problem.
that doesn't ever. Trust me, that doesn't
No,
ever
go
happen.
ahead and form what you're trying to say. The problem is that other people don't follow, like you said, the golden rule. Like, if you wanted to boil it down to, like, that's morality, I'd be okay with that because you don't infringe on other people as long as you're not hurting them, right? So
Yeah.
anytime you cause harm to them, that is where immorality starts, right? So if I steal from you, I'm harming
And it's also
you. That's
illogical.
immoral.
But that's
harm
also
somebody?
that's
Yeah.
also a logical argument.
I don't know if it's
No, okay, so
no, that's
so
fair,
so
that's fair.
I think I've quoted this numerous times. There's a big logical paper based on this by John Locke from the 1700s.
He's in that one show that you love.
yeah.
Lost.
Yeah.
Wow, wow,
So-
wow.
wow. So, anyways, one of the biggest things is logically you wouldn't want anyone to hurt you. Therefore, you should not hurt anyone else. Logically,
think
you
that-
wouldn't want anyone
yeah.
to steal your stuff. Therefore, you should not steal anyone's stuff.
I think that's a misuse of the term.
No,
I think
it's-
yes,
it
it is
is
because
not.
you need to say reasonably. So, reasonably, you don't want someone to steal your stuff. It's morally wrong.
Well, maybe we're
not
using
logic.
Maybe
Why
we're
is it
using the
in the
wrong.
sense
Maybe
of
we're
the
using the
word-
wrong word then. But
Why-
reasonable.
That may be true.
But
I'm
so
totally
using
cool with that
reason, we
argument,
can
though, like
so
that-
using
that doesn't
reason,
mean
we
that-
can determine
why
moral
is
moral
why,
objectivity.
Why can't you say logically you don't want anyone to steal your stuff?
But I don't think my premise
because
changes.
because morality and logic aren't the same thing.
Well,
Like you
so-
can't conflate the two.
Why not? Like you,
I've
you've
already
given
done-
you've given a
So
couple
I-
you've given a couple anecdotal
It's not
examples
anecdotal. That's not anecdotal.
or
I've given
hypothetical
you've given some
hypothetical
hypothetical, yeah.
things, but that doesn't necessarily completely prove your point.
Well, maybe we've been conflating reason and logic, like I said. So then, is moral
So-
objectivity able to be determined through reason?
I don't think that there is any universal morality. I do not agree with
See,
that.
I would think
it's
that
all,
there
it's all
is.
about.
So I guess-
But I'm not a faithful person,
Go ahead.
I guess, and like I don't think there's.
I don't
a-
think it has
I'm not
anything
very
to do with
faithful
religion.
either.
I
either.
don't think that there's something that tells us that something is good or bad.
I think
that's
that's
a
I don't think there's a
society.
I think
all
your
sorts
instincts
of
tell you that.
religious things that it influence people to do terrible things.
That's
Like,
fair.
so-
But that's not where that would be an argument of authority. We're not making
What
that
are you
argument.
saying?
I'm saying we can use math. We can use math in a
Crusade.
certain way to
So,
determine
I-
whether something's right or wrong. So under no
Yeah.
circumstance, for instance, is slavery okay? And that's my stance, and I think that's an objective
So,
truth.
Brad, you will convince me as soon as you show me that math. As soon as you show me that study where
Okay.
we've quantified morality, which I do not believe is
I
possible.
don't-
I
I
don't
think
think
you can quantify
it's
it.
done with
That's-
numbers, but I've taken a course in logic, and it's
I've taken courses in philosophy, so I
Okay.
mean that's not fair either.
No,
It's
that's
like-
fine. But so then you know not that they're not necessarily using numbers, but they are using variables in a way that you do algebra, for
but
instance.
not necessarily algebra, but I
Well,
mean it's
there's a
moral
lot of
constructs.
similarities.
It's not math.
I don't think we need to draw this out as much as we have. I mean, I think if you go to do something you have a feeling in the pit of your stomach that, like, you know it's the right thing or the wrong thing, whether your parents told you this or that, or your religion
I feel
tells you
some
this or
people-
Then
that.
you're basing
Well-
morality on the individual.
Yeah, and I also think
And
that
that's
some people,
scaring as well,
some people
yeah.
are lacking
That's
that.
not. That's
Well,
not.
some
That's not
people
an
are, but I
objective
think
sense
the
either.
masses.
I think it's scary. I
do
mean,
you
some
not think-
people are going to think things are okay
Sure,
and that others don't.
but I think
But-
the
but
Look at my
hold on,
stance on
hold on.
stealing movies, right?
Hold
I
on.
very passionately think that's wrong.
How do we
and I
determine-
am definitely a minority on that.
How do we determine a difference? Then what's the point between right and wrong then?
I mean, it's a societal construct. It's something that society says.
But then what's the point? What's the point? Why abolish slavery at that point if it doesn't matter?
I didn't say it didn't matter. You're putting words in my mouth. I never said it doesn't matter.
I'm not-
I said that
I'm not saying you don't.
society decides what is right and wrong, not the individual.
See, I think society's a reflection of the individual, right? So, like,
I think
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
fair, but it's still not the individual.
masses. Yeah, most people
You know.
think it's wrong to steal. Well, I mean, that's starting to change now a little bit.
So,
I think-
but
Wow.
a perfect argument is about like downloading movies. You know, like I think that's morally wrong, and I know
I think
a
you're-
lot of people that still do it.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. That's theft.
Yeah.
I have different opinions on like copyright law. Like, so I mean, that's a.
but see, that's my point. So your
Right.
individual morality is different than mine.
well,
But societally, we can agree that it's not right. That's why there's a law.
see, that's where I would disagree. I would think
Okay.
that I would think societally, like, there's.
So
I mean, if we want to talk about copyright, that's a whole episode. But like, to me, I think it hinders creativity in a way, to where you can't like for to use a song beat, for instance. You know what I mean? Like, that's a whole nother topic. To steal somebody's work, I do think is wrong. You know what I mean? To where like they put their time and money into it. For you to turn around and try to profit on it, so like the T-shirts,
So
the T-shirts,
not-
that's wrong to me.
Well, what about probably everybody doesn't know what the
that I'm
t-shirts
wearing,
are.
you know what I mean? But like I do think that that's.
But what if it's not profit? I mean, you're right. We could probably have a whole episode.
I
of
think if
this.
it's not for
but
profit,
I want to
don't-
get back to.
I don't
just
think
what-
you're actively hurting
I'm
anybody.
not.
At that point.
I'm open to being convinced. I just don't, and I don't understand how we could ever see eye to eye, which is okay.
It's going to be hard
You
to see
know,
eye to eye when
yeah.
one person does not think there's an objective truth, and the one person thinks there's
Oh,
an objective
absolutely,
truth.
absolutely.
Because then now
I
you're going to
definitely
make
think it's
arguments.
provable.
You're going to make.
objectively wrong.
You're going to make
So, I mean,
arguments.
I'm okay
You're
with
each
it.
And that's my point. It's objectively wrong to hold slaves. It's objectively
So
wrong,
is-
and excuse my language, Dick, man, rape.
So-
but like it's
How's that?
But and I'm.
well, it's
it's
it's a pretty
that's
vivid
wow.
thing.
All right.
Oh.
Anyway,
From my point of view,
I'm
the
willing
Jedi
to-
are evil.
I'm willing to
anyway.
be convinced,
Oh,
right? So
no.
I'm saying like if you can prove that,
Okay.
I'd be open. to
change
prove
my
what?
mind.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Wait, I can't say
let
that
me,
either,
let me,
probably.
let me ask you a question. Do you
What, are
think
you gonna
there's
get
any situation
You might copy
in which slavery is okay?
Steve
I don't
Crowder
know.
watches this.
Sure.
So-
I don't
so-
know.
so
To be
yeah,
honest, I don't know.
changed my
You don't
mind.
know?
Copy-
He's
I
being
can't.
honest
I
and saying,
can't. I don't know enough.
What about rape?
I don't know enough context to where that ever would. I don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You can't think of a scenario where it's okay to hold slaves or to rape people.
Well,
But that doesn't
there
mean
was
it
a-
doesn't exist.
That's fair, that's
there
fair.
was
I don't know.
historically a
Existing doesn't mean
society
it's
where
good.
rape was okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean it's okay.
Oh, I'm saying in his
That-
argument
that's-
is
and
that there
that's
was
my argument.
there
I
was
don't care-
societies
I
in
don't
history
care what
that
the circumstances
thought rape was
are.
okay.
Rape is not okay.
Well, what could
I
be a
agree
thing,
with that
What could be a
concept.
thing
I-
right now
absolutely.
in our
And
society?
I don't
where
because like look at there's. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
what could be a thing in our society right now where 50 or 100 years from now they look back and they're like, "Wow, that was messed up."
It could
Like,
be our
there's
consumption of
a
media.
couple
Could be
things.
us
There's a
talking
couple
right
things
now
I
on
can think
social
of.
media.
There's a couple things I can
Social
think
media
of.
may
One-
be the one.
Well, I don't think it's
Social
necessarily,
media
but I
is
think
very, very
right, but
harmful to
social
people.
media in of itself is not
sure,
immoral.
Sure.
No,
but
like,
there's,
well,
No, maybe what people do with it, but like,
sure, like the written word is
Something
not
about
immoral.
tail.
there's
like, you
two
can
things.
use it immorally.
There's two things that come to mind when you make that point, Dakota. Well, the first thing is some people won't like this, but I'll say it's one thing is abortion. I think we might look back in 100 years and
Okay,
see, wow,
yeah,
that's a terrible
that's-
idea.
that's an
and the
excellent
the
point.
other thing I think,
Whereas
I
right
was
now,
gonna
that's
say
something
I
that's
pulled this from someone else. I was gonna say the
devising.
slaughtering of animals, but I don't necessarily believe that.
So I mean, I think we can get into a great debate, Brad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Outside of the context of this, right? So there's some
Yeah,
things that
absolutely.
I'm not willing to say in a public forum.
That's
that,
fine.
You know, and I'm sure you have some examples too. We might be able to see eye to eye.
I
doubt it.
At the end of the day, I really do think that if you made a list of egregious acts like murder, rape, slavery,
absolutely.
I think it's safe to say, in a vacuum, it's wrong to murder somebody else.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
why do we kill people on death row?
That's once again though.
That's
it
fair.
dep- it
That's,
dep-
that's totally
Okay,
fair.
Well, it's not necessarily murder.
One second.
though.
One second.
It's not
It's
murder.
not murder.
but that,
It
but
is
that's,
So,
but that's
in-
getting
It's not murder.
playing
It's
with-
killing. It's not murder.
Yeah,
It
but
is
that's,
murder.
but
No,
that's
okay.
Not
semantic.
legally.
That's
So,
semantic though,
hold
because
on.
the state controls that.
So
and I
hold
don't
on.
know if
Hold on
I'm
a sec-
for the
hold on a
state
second.
killing
in,
people.
In
Exactly.
okay, in the paper I mentioned earlier, there's a whole bunch of things of when someone does something against logic, essentially, they forfeit their right. So, like, if someone takes another person's life, they forfeit their own life.
I'm not overly comfortable with the concept of forfeiture of rights either. Like,
Well, that-
especially if there's a prison term attached and you're supposed to be rehabilitated.
Well,
like, why do you now no longer
Well,
have rights?
Hold on.
That's a societal thing, but, like-
you do forfeit your rights.
I
at
don't
one
know
point.
how I feel.
Then
about
how
that.
do you handle imprisonment? That's a
when you're in
forfeiture of
prison,
liberty.
when you're in prison, but when you get out, like
no,
for
if you
instance, when
if you get out, you
can't
should
vote
have your.
anymore?
If you
Well,
get out, your right should be
Well, yeah,
you don't
given
get to
back
own a
to
gun?
you.
Absolutely, but
I
no,
understand.
I
I
do
110%
disagree with that on a
believe-
certain
You
level.
get to own them.
I
I know.
100% believe that
And it
owning
also
a gun
depends if you're a
is a
felon,
right.
too.
Yeah,
So-
well, I
However,
said a
if
felon.
you have
Yeah,
been
but
sent
like-
to prison
There's
because
There's
you
also
have
cases
committed
where
gun crimes,
people can't get their license.
you should
Yeah,
not
you
be
know,
allowed
and I-
to
and I-
drive.
absolutely.
Hey,
just-
this is
I-
unpopular.
I guess
If
that
someone
is not right,
goes to prison
but
for
you-
murdering
you
people
get
with
what I mean.
guns, I don't think
That they should get out.
they should get out or I think the death penalty
I would
probably
be
fine.
okay. I would be okay if the death penalty was instated at that point. But I would like to go
My
back to
only
the point
problem
that
with
it's
death
not
penalty
murder.
is like when people are wrongfully
The semantics
imprisoned.
between
Yes.
killing somebody and
And can-
murdering somebody is law. That's it.
The only way is
the
the
exact
only-
same
the
thing.
only way I
it's
would.
not.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not.
One at a time.
We're having
Merriam-Webster's
split conversations. We got to
definition.
I understand.
The only way I
understand, but
would-
Go ahead,
it's-
Jake.
it's-
Hang on.
The only
Go
way
ahead,
I would
Jake.
condone the death penalty is if there was irrefutable evidence of said person doing said act.
I don't trust the justice system, so I don't know if I'm ever really truly for the.
It's gonna be. I agree with you, but I agree with you more.
Because I agree. Like if you could
it
trust
was
the
pure,
apparatus.
absolutely.
Like this guy that just killed
That's
20
not-
people.
that's not-
Who wrote
that's
a
not
manifesto,
necessarily-
admits to doing it and everything. Like
That's
he's
a little different.
forfeited
That's
his
a little
life.
different, right? I mean, you can look at the.
That's not really an argument, though. Just because you don't trust it doesn't.
Oh, I think it's absolutely an
I
argument.
think
Okay,
if there's a 1% chance that you could be wrong, you shouldn't be doing it.
life is.
I
a
said-
precious
I said
how do we
irrefutable.
convict people on any level?
So I'm saying about killing them.
I said
Convinced-
irrefutable.
Yeah,
I
and-
said-
and that's why I said I agree
Well, then
with
what's
you.
the difference between
But-
life and prison then? That's my point. They're going to spend life in prison regardless.
You have a chance to go through appeal processes and get.
That's
Yeah,
well,
well,
so,
I
so,
mean,
do
not
people, so
always-
do people on
yeah,
death
yeah,
row.
you get the same appeals on death row.
So do
They
people on death
actually,
row.
I think you
They have
get
less
more.
time though.
No, they
Ah,
don't.
no,
What's
they-
his face
it can
sat
be
on
up to
death row
20
for like
years.
20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. They get a lot of time.
I'm going to be honest. Our justice system has a lot of hiccups.
Okay, that's
and
fair. That's
it's,
fair.
It's
I
very
understand.
troubling.
It's
I
not
agree.
inherently wrong.
I
but,
agree with
like,
you,
I
but
just
what
think
about
that
the-
if there's a chance?
What about the philosophy?
You know?
Like,
I,
what about
I
the
understand that, but
what
it's-
about the just the philosophy behind it? Not like given a perfect justice system.
Of the death penalty, we saying?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm going to tell you that this is going to sound very libertarian to me, but like the idea that the state can kill individuals does not sit well with me.
It's more.
It does not.
I don't like it either.
It's very troublesome, right? Because like it
what
call it a slippery slope argument, but like all I can think about is the Tower of London, right? Like,
Okay, what if it
the
was?
king decrees.
What if
that
it's
you
just
be
society?
beheaded.
Like, what if it's just
But
the
it's
people
not. It's
doing
not.
it?
You're
So,
using
like,
you're using the
Handmaid's
state
Tale?
as a catch-all,
Like,
though, Tim. It's
but
not.
I don't
It's not just. It's not
fully.
just the king, or it's not just the mayor, or whoever. It's a jury. It's supposed to be a jury of your peers.
Sure.
That are
And it's-
selected strategically.
No.
I've sat jury duty. I know how it goes, but it's a jury of your peers, and it's a judge that hands on the decision, and there are constitutional things put in place to protect them as
Sure,
well,
but
especially
all
when it comes
takes
to
is
stuff
one
like
corrupt judge, right? And then they lop Tim's
Yeah, but,
head
like,
off,
you
and then they
can't-
come back post
See, I mean,
after I'm
it's-
dead, and they're like, oh, we got that one
I
wrong.
hate
it's
to
going to take
flip-flop
here.
it's
Clear
going to
Tim.
take it's going to take more than just one corrupt judge.
I don't think it is.
It is, because if you're getting
No.
a trial by a jury of your peers, then he doesn't make the decision
Well,
whether
he
you're
can,
guilty or
he
not.
can overrule. He can overrule.
I don't think he can.
especially sentencing.
I don't-
think
Well,
he
it's
gets it-
sentencing.
yeah.
I don't think he
They
doesn't,
can.
he doesn't make
Now,
the
it was,
decision
it was
whether
a,
he's
it was
innocent or not.
established tradition that the judge never did that.
So-
like, if the jury said Tim is innocent, doesn't matter what the
So,
judge thinks. Now they've
I
gone
think
back
I'm
on
not-
that a bit.
Yeah,
Wait,
and I'm going to agree with
I'm
Brad
not
here,
aware
though.
of
Like
that. What-
99% of all these things that go down probably are legit. Like our justice system is not inherently bad.
No,
But if there's a
are some
1%
problems.
that somebody
Well,
might
it's-
die,
yeah,
that's
it's-
why there's an appeals process.
Here's the issue, though.
So
It's
say you do get that corrupt judge. You know,
A
you're
lot of,
you're
from what I've
supposed
heard,
to be able to
you have,
appeal
but
it.
you have
and
to
then,
appeal to the same judge. The same judge hears
I don't
the
think
case.
that's you can
Not all
you
the
can
time.
escalate
If
it.
at
No,
any
the-
point
no,
that's
it
the
goes-
case, that's,
it-
that is a failure of the justice
No,
system.
the
because
appeals
if I
process-
pass judgment on you and then you're gonna bring it back to my attention, I'm like, no, you're still guilty, bro. Boom, dead.
No, it
You
goes.
know?
I agree, it should
It
be
goes
under a
to
different
there
judge.
are higher courts. So at
Yeah.
both the
Yeah.
state and federal
There's
level,
many
there's
different
But it gets to the
appeals.
point where
Yeah.
the Supreme Court's like, I don't really want to hear about Michigan versus
That's
Tim Roberts.
possible,
We
too.
let him
That's
die.
possible.
That's possible.
That's
but
wrong.
But it doesn't go
I
back to the
agree.
same.
This is human life we're talking
It
about.
doesn't go back
with
to the
you.
same. It doesn't go back to the original judge though. It goes up to the
But
Court of
it
Appeals.
doesn't.
I agree.
It does
No, I
sometimes go back
agree
to the
that
same
in
judge.
I think there's 5 of them too, and it has to be like a majority vote.
You're talking about the Court of Appeals?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just one person.
And
who
that's both at
decides
the
it.
state and federal level.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there are
Exactly.
scenarios I know because I have family in prison that they have to go. Their appeal goes back to the same judge, and the judge already said, "You're the guiltiest person I've ever seen. I hope you rot in hell." Basically, with
Well,
your-
it depends on the
hey,
decision of
that
the Court
may
of
be-
Appeals, but
and,
yeah.
and that may be the first appeal that they have, right? But they can still do more. Like it takes literal decades to run out of appeals.
I believe the guy
another
from
problem
Making
is
a
the money
Murderer-
attached.
That's true.
Like
That's true, too.
this is a pay-to-win system.
feel like I'm being
The
Switzerland
justice
right
system
now.
is the pay-to-win system, and it's
I
wrong.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Why?
It is not a pay-to-win system. The
Brad,
idea,
listen, how?
because there have been plenty of people who didn't pay their
There have
left
been plenty of
arm.
poor
Holy shit.
people that
Okay,
fought
look at,
unjust
Jason,
rulings.
I wasn't about to try,
and
man.
there have been plenty of poor
We
people
weren't
who,
moving.
Alex
And there have been
says,
plenty of poor
our
people
judicial
who-
system is inherently weighted by how much money you have and who you know.
That's absolutely
That
true.
is-
That's
That is
anecdotal, but
Yeah,
It's true.
It's not true.
I
So
think
what about
there's-
what about all the people who have gone through this process and came out the other side clean?
What about OJ, bro?
I understand.
What about him?
Well,
I
that
do
wasn't
think-
To a
necessarily-
man in this room, you can probably did OJ did it. Ah, sure looked like
That
he killed
also
people.
wasn't.
OJ didn't do it.
he wrote a book of if
do it.
if he did it.
I understand, but
do
once
it, but
again,
if
you're
I
pulling
did, this is how I would've.
anecdotal evidence out. When you look at the fact to how many people were convicted of these
Okay,
crimes.
let's talk about
it's a
Jeffrey
very-
Epstein. That's a current one. Let's talk about it.
Tim, I know, but you're cherry picking all these
So-
guys out.
I'm
That-
sorry,
that-
I can't name any poor people that have climbed out of the frickin' cesspool of the justice system.
I can name 4 of them.
Let's hear them.
They just wrote they did a Netflix special on them. There's 4 black kids.
Oh yeah.
They were poor and they all went to
How long did it take?
3 of them went to juvenile. They served their entire sentence until they were 18. One of them was still in prison.
Did they
It
get
took-
acquitted?
It took they sued the city for millions of dollars.
So they come out of this. They come out of this at the end.
I wanna watch
Millionaires, right?
It's
'Cause they
really
win.
good, dude.
Right, but
Yeah.
you can. There's no amount of money that can get those kids'
I
lives back.
don't think it's. I agree with you.
You know,
like
the fact that that happens is like
yeah.
that's
So,
anathema in the United
Granted,
States.
what
Like,
I
how
know
can that-
about that is from a Netflix documentary, so
I've-
it may be.
I've
it
heard
may-
that. I've heard that one's a little.
It's
not-
emotional,
It's
but-
not only emotional, but I think they play a lot on that. It's just what I'm here. It's just
No,
what
I
hear.
think you might be thinking of some other ones,
Maybe.
like Making a Murderer.
No, I
is
pretty. Were these kids
That was biased.
convicted
Yeah,
of?
very biased,
Were these
yeah.
kids convicted of rape?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah. But regardless, they did appeal it. They did get out. The one guy did get out of prison,
Mm-hmm.
and they all got money from it.
Let me ask
but
you this.
I agree that I don't think that may have been worth their entire lives.
Well,
Do,
they'll
probably
never,
not.
they'll
Let me ask you
never
this.
be the
Do
people
public-
they could have been.
Do
Yeah.
public,
Had they had a fair shake.
Yeah,
public
right.
attorneys are they as good? Are they as good to have on your team as a lawyer based like a I don't
Like,
know.
from a big
like
firm?
an expensive
Yeah.
private attorney.
The
Typically
lawyer
not.
you get from the Lenawee County is not going to compare to Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers.
Okay, so-
that's under any circumstances. So that is a
You
pay
get
to win
what you pay
system.
for,
When
yeah.
the billionaire can say, you know what, like, yeah, there's video evidence of me like doing
But
this
that-
with little kids, but
What
I got
about
this lawyer,
okay? How many
like-
times do things end settlements of just pay this fine and then go on your way?
A
Very
lot.
often.
It happens all the time.
So is that not also an instance of pay to win?
yeah, but
not if you're guilty.
on the
Well,
inverse
if-
of that,
if definitely you're-
if
you're
you're
like-
guilty, then
So the
yeah.
poor person goes
Look
to
at Michael
the poor
Jackson
person
the
goes to
first time.
prison.
He's like, just make this go away.
The poor
Like,
person goes to prison. The rich person pays $50,000 and
but
goes
there's
away.
the inverse of that too, where you're given plea bargains. So you're
Thank you.
saying,
That's
yes,
a corrupt tool just to
we
get
know you're
people in the
guilty.
system.
I-
They're like, you know
I
what, we're going
disagree.
to overcharge you, and then we're going to have you plead down to what we wanted you to plead to anyway.
disagree with that.
Is,
That's
that
not-
is what it is.
No, plea bargains were traditionally used to get. They were used a lot in the early 1900s and going on in like when
Probably from mafia
when-
crime, right?
Yes, exactly. When the state DO when when the state
Al
what's his
Capone?
name AGs when state AGs were going after gang criminals and
How do
they
plea
would go after.
deals work now?
What do you mean?
They
Scare tactics.
overcharge you
Scare
and then plea
tactics.
you to what they want you to plea to anyway.
I mean,
that's how what
not
it is.
true.
Tim, I
That's
like.
not
I agree
true.
with both of you guys, right? But it just feels like a lot of your knowledge on these plea deals and a lot of this stuff is coming from like CSI. Like,
Man.
I do not watch any crime shows because they're trash.
No,
you
what,
just,
what,
you just
what,
read
what,
it. Just read about them in the
what
newspaper.
usually
like-
happens?
I
What
haven't
usually
read anything in a newspaper about a plea bargain.
No, what they eventually plea to.
Yes, Tim. So take a
So
take,
like taking minor in possession, right? Like, oh,
Yeah.
we're just gonna get you down to like this or that. So, you know, I think it's wrong.
No, that's I'll take your example. The whole possession thing. So a lot
This
of
is what this show's supposed to be.
a
about,
lot
right?
of criminals,
Like
for
outrage.
instance,
I'm pretty passionate
They
about
don't-
our
they don't
justice
special,
system
they don't
railroading
specialize,
people.
right? Criminals usually don't specialize. So it's not that they are
Wait,
committing
what?
this.
What did you
Criminals
do?
usually don't specialize. So it's not that they're just committing this one crime. That's the only crime they commit. All right. Usually when someone's arrested, there are multiple crimes that they have committed.
Okay.
It's so they plea them down
I gotcha.
so they can get them a letter. They do a plea deal so that they don't go to court and they get a lower sentence, a lower punishment than what they
I
would have
understand the
originally
concept.
gotten. I know, but that's usually what happens. That's actually why most
Okay,
people in the
if
prison
if it
system
ever happens-
are on for drug crimes.
If it
It's
ever
because
happens
usually-
outside of that, is that okay?
What do you mean?
If they ever upcharge somebody and then plea them down, is that
If
okay?
you're ever charged for a crime that you didn't commit,
So
no.
I need an example of
not-
someone being upcharged.
Yeah, I'm not.
I didn't come prepared with sources on this. I'm just saying I know that
I know, but
I'm not-
I've never heard an example of someone.
you've
I've
never
heard.
heard of something like that. ever.
You
I mean,
can't
I
give
have
me an
in fiction-
example, so don't
I
come
have
at
in
me
fiction
like
a lot,
that.
but because I watch those crime shows. But,
I don't because they're
but,
garbage.
But I'm not a lawyer, but doesn't the plea have to go through
No,
the
no,
judge?
he's-
like it's
he's
not
just-
like they
he said
just
a lot.
pull one out. And they're
Yeah.
like,
We're
well, this is what
talking
I'm gonna
about
charge for.
corrupt judges. We're talking about these.
But
these-
I don't
But
think-
you're assuming that every judge
no,
is
no,
corrupt.
no. I'm saying if there's one corrupt judge, it's too many, right?
That's
so,
true.
So
That's
the
true,
whole
yeah.
concept, we got to
Yeah.
get rid of all guns because if one kid dies, it's too many, right?
Yeah.
So if you put one person in prison, God forbid you put him on
I
death
feel
row.
like a flip flop.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a point. He's got a point too.
The problem is that the system is so rigged based on money that if the more you have, the better chance of freedom you
It's
got.
like healthcare, dude.
It's worse than healthcare.
yeah.
It's way worse. Because
Okay,
like you
guys,
could be
let's
sick.
make,
That's
some,
close.
let's make some final points.
Huh?
So if you
close.
have anything,
Yeah.
So,
anything
Well,
last
final
it is,
point.
it is sort of
Brad's
the same
wrong.
thing. So the more money you have, the better chances you are.
that's
it is,
wrong.
It is exactly like healthcare.
That
But
is
That's what I
wrong.
was trying to say, but apparently no. It's
When
worse.
you say
Tim.
justice for all, and you're like, well, if you got more money, you got a little bit
So,
more of that
hold on.
justice.
What's the
Like,
solution?
What?
hold on. What's the solution?
The solution, first of all, is to have judges that aren't
think they need
that
to be-
don't run unopposed.
I think they need to
They
be
have
held
term
accountable
limits.
too.
I'm talking
That
about.
there's oversight on judges.
I'm talking
They-
about when it comes to the point of spending money.
Yeah, but
So
who
what-
watches the Watchmen?
So what? So what do you
Exactly.
do?
Wait, what?
Do you
The
regulate
Watchmen?
how much money
Come
lawyers
out
make?
soon. We're gonna watch it.
Do you regulate how much money they're allowed to make per case?
Listen, I'm not gonna buy into that. I'm not gonna take your bait. I don't know that that's the answer.
I'm
Bait.
just
I
curious.
mean, I'm not advocating more government regulation.
I'm just curious of what your solution is to the problem.
Watch these judges. If
think
you have
there's-
corrupt judges,
But you're not. You weren't
know what
talking
the
about
solution
judges.
is?
You were talking about money.
No, because of
Is
the
it-
money issue.
I imagine-
if you've got a judge that puts somebody behind bars or on death row, that judge should be
I've- I've
executed.
been seeing
That's
them.
how you
There's
fix
just-
the
I have a
problem.
question.
Kill the judge.
I-
I'm telling you.
I don't
Hey.
necessarily disagree with that.
Should we go on
I have a-
record?
I have
That's
a-
a crime.
I have a
if
quick-
if you put somebody in prison for life wrongfully, and you can prove that they did it wrongfully, that to me is a death row thing. You
Let
want
me
to talk
ask you
about the
this.
state killing people?
Is there
right there? Clean
i-
up judges.
Is there, okay, I want to say something real quick before we get up.
That's
Is there
pretty extreme.
a process in place for like judge impeachment that the society or the community
There
can
may
take?
be. I don't know.
Yes.
There may
Okay,
be.
good.
It depends. I guess it depends on where you're at. So there's a process in the federal courts. It depends on what state you're in for state courts.
Like
I mean,
comment?
that's a lot of law right there. So usually, a lot of the times, in most states, I think judges are
So-
voted in on the
right.
state level. So which I have a problem with, but
Well, there you go. There's some more anecdotal evidence from Alex.
So-
actual
No,
record.
he's somebody that lived it.
Absolutely.
Somebody
He
that
said
lived it.
he got overcharged.
Had he had more money, maybe he wouldn't have had to be in
So
there that long.
my thought is like, I feel like it's a society's responsibility to keep their judges accountable. Like the guy who
Said his uncle was
the guy who the
overcharged
judge
too.
who sentenced Brock Turner, who under sentenced him essentially, like 3 months
Jeffrey
in
Epstein
jail,
got
whatever.
under sentenced 10 years
Like-
ago for
Like
child
we need to hold
sex trafficking.
Yeah, we need to hold those judges more accountable so they properly sentence these harned criminals.
I don't
Yes.
disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I do have a huge problem on how federal judges have been recently within the past, I don't know, 100 years.
The
Eli
Supreme
said-
Court's a big issue too.
Yeah.
Eli would like you to chill.
Listen, man, I'm
Holy
calmed down.
heck, Tim.
The problem is that the biggest problem is that our whole system of government is eroded by the judicial system, because the judicial branch, because it has unchecked power.
Weren't we trying to wrap up?
Yeah,
Listen, man,
Final
we're
point.
not under the collar right now.
Okay,
Final
look,
point.
This is clearly something that's going to keep going. So
yeah.
let's taper off now. We can pick this up
Okay,
next
my
week.
I would like to end on an agreement. I agree with Tim that the federal judiciary has gotten way too much power over the last
I
century.
really need to poop.
I
We gotta
agree
wrap
that
this
I
up.
think Grand
would
Theft Auto
like-
should be banned. Let's go.
I think, okay,
Yeah, we
I
didn't
think
get to that or gun control today. we actually had a production meeting today.
That's why we don't do it. Is because it never comes to fruition.
Okay, my final point on this whole the whole judicial system is, look up Jeffrey Epstein. Literally was convicted 10 years ago of child sex trafficking. He went to prison for like 18
Alex,
months.
that's
It was like a
hilarious.
jail, right? Had like a super lean sentence. Everybody that looks at it, that's
He's
a legal
probably
expert.
comfortable too, like a comfortable jail.
He got out every day for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Seems reasonable.
Child
And
sex
wrap it up.
trafficking. Yeah, don't bait me, Tony.
And he never had to had to register as a sex
effing
criminal
white
either.
people. Look, 5 white guys that have never been arrested. So
said this?
5. Alex. So look,
Alex, shut up,
5
man.
white guys who have never broken the law.
Alex, how do you know?
Hey.
All right. How do you know none of us have ever been arrested?
Also,
I know he's been arrested.
what?
All right,
I haven't been
listen,
arrested.
You got a final point?
Nah.
Okay, we'll
I gotta-
talk to you guys next week.
I gotta pee.
Bye.
You go quick.